Well, here I am on the boat today to do some work, and I thought I'd do a little filming. First job was, well, yesterday we put the motor on the bracket. It took 3 people. Today I got to get the wire through the clamshell into the boat. Now, the old clamshell obviously had a smaller single wire. The new wire, which is here, obviously is 2 much fatter wires, and the clamshell through hole goes, with a rubber gasket and together like that. So I went to the store at the marina, and the guy told me he had the exact size Friday and was told to send it out to another location because they'd never sell one of those here. So I guess I got to make do with this one. I'm going to try and drill out for 2 wires, and then pack it a little with 5200 to keep it sealed. What can you do? Okay, silly me. Right next to the clamshell was this brass thing, which I didn't even realize until I took it off, is another pass-through. I don't like this one because it could allow some water to get in, but that looks like it's big enough to pass the big motor wires. This one might have been for a light then. So it's a good thing I spotted that before I drilled the holes in the rubber. So I'll just put this all back together with the wires into the boat. Just for situations like this, I bought some butyl tape. It's a little crushed, but it can be rolled up or whatever and folded over. And I'm going to use that under here to clamp it down and create a little bit more watertight seal, even though it's completely open on the one end down here. Okay, I've resealed it, put the screws in, put butyl tape along the bottom, cleaned off around the edges with a dull object, a little putty knife. And then I took some of the extra butyl tape and let's see if I could swing it around, show you what it looks like over here. Sorry, using my iPhone. If you could see that, I took a bunch of butyl tape and plugged it up. Now, I'm told that butyl tape, oh, getting you seasick, is really, really good from the internet. It's never hardens, it's waterproof, and it's a great little sealing putty for use around the boat. Alright, so my next project was to finish up the sump pump plumbing. This is the sump pump. It's a Whale low profile sump pump that I glued into the hull a couple of weeks ago using 5200. I don't think it's holding. It looks like it moved. So I'm going to have to find some other way of doing it. But it's in place. Certainly can't use screws. Maybe epoxy putty. Anyway, that hose now goes over here to a check flow. So the water only goes that way and not back down into my bilge. And then it comes up into a reducer to the 5/8, that's 3/4, and into a T. And if we go up, this is another check flow valve, so it doesn't come up into the sink, but I think I might have gotten the wrong check flow. So I think it needs a certain amount of pressure to go this way, and it blocks a lot of pressure the other way. If that's the case, I may have to add another hose going all the way up. to the sink, and that goes down to the through hole. Now there is another hose here, which I just realized, and that's to the bottom of this cooler to drain ice water, I guess, out. I might just cut that hose and let it drain into the bilge, or put another T. I just hope this is above the water line, but even if it's not, that check valve hopefully will keep the seawater from going into my bilge. When I put it in the water, I'm going to want to have that off, just in case. Since I'm also down here showing you around, that's the guest battery charger I installed for 2 batteries. There's the 2 battery boxes. I still need to do some work over here on these, because I think one of the charge controllers, which is they're different models, that's the good one, backflows electricity. So I disconnected it and put the solar panel in there. Right now it's charging on the solar panel. But I want to put a diode in that system so that everything's good, and I can charge both batteries off of the one solar panel. I also haven't wired in the motor yet, but that's coming. But before I do all that, I've still got to wire in the sump pump. Now the question is, how do I do that? I want the sump pump to be able to run off the battery, even when the battery's in the off position. So that sounds like it's going to come off of one of these charge controllers. But I got to figure out how to do that with the inputs and the outputs and the diode and the whatever. Alrighty. So that's my the area I'm working on today. Now, hopefully this works. I guess I should test it by putting some water in the sink and seeing if it goes down. And once that's wired in, I'll test that to see if it goes out. Alright. Okay, I pulled it out, the battery, and did some analysis with the solar cell and the connections. And this solar charge controller does not have a backflow diode in it. Or the backflow diode doesn't work for some reason, because when I connected it to the SAE connector, I noticed it was backwards and I had to reverse the wiring. That goes to the battery. In order for the wiring to be right, and the positive to be positive and the negative to be negative. When this is not connected to the solar system, the other charge controller does not charge. And when that one is connected and this one is not, that one still does not supply power to the solar cell. So therefore that one has a backflow diode and this one does not. Now I've got to figure out how and where to put that backflow diode in. What this one does have, though, is a load output, which even when the solar cell is not connected, as long as it's connected to the battery, there will be power on this line, which I plan to use for the sump pump. Alright, well, the solar cell came with a couple of extra cables with SAE connectors on them that I didn't need because they're for other applications. So I cut it and cut the end off of this one and installed a diode, so there's no backflow. And this battery is connected, and even though this one has the LED on for charging, there's no power coming in on the solar side. And I've double checked that with the meter. So that charge light is powered from the battery. And it's not putting out any power because the charge light is not on that unit. But now if we connect this solar cell, one moment, now we have the charge light on here, and we have the charge light on over there. So there's no backflow. So now I've got that battery is connected, the solar cell is not connected. This unit is connected to the battery but not to the solar. And I'm measuring the output of basically that unit. 175.5 millivolts. That's not anywhere near chargeable. It's just millivolts leaking through. Yet that apparently is enough to light this light. I think that system's good. Millivolts aren't going to bother anyone. Alright, well, the red and the black there, that's from the motor. And as you can see, it didn't quite reach the battery. However, this red wire off of the switch, I believe, is for connecting to a battery. And then I added a jump wire that I had in the boat from the terminal to here, and then I just got to connect those two together and make sure they don't short and kill people. So that would help. That would be the battery fix.